Happy New Year, ladies and gents. Welcome to the top 10 masks of 2014. I'm hoping 2015 will be just as good a year, but 2014 really blew everything else away. I got around about 9,000 subscribers over the course of the year, which makes up a large bulk of my current subscriber base, and I have all of you to thank for that. Throughout the year, I was creating masks, and you guys were sending me in some top designs. And I'm hoping to showcase the top 10, in fact that you'll be seeing 12 masks in today's video. Last year's video is one of my most viewed videos ever, and I'm hoping this year to blow that one away. The quality of the video should certainly exceed last year's, and I hope the masks do in your eyes as well. Admittedly, I've been focusing a lot on what Overkill's been doing with the game lately. There's been a lot of changes and updates within Payday. Mask of the Day is kicking back up in the new year, and these designs round off 2014, I hope, perfectly. In at the number 10 spot, we have, I believe, the oldest created mask on the list. This was made all the way back in February. It was the definitive alien mask. Loads of people had sent in requests for the Alienware mask. It's one of the most popular masks in the game, especially at the turn of the year, and this was the attempt to create the definitive mask, created using a bunch of different suggestions. It's made using the sinister material. The pattern of choice is the beast, and finally red and black for the colour. The real theme on this mask is simplicity, and I think it works really nicely and looks great in game. In at number 9, we have the Hollow, a mask made back in April that drew an awful lot from my love of the Dark Souls series. It's created using the oak material. The pattern is the Guardian, and then mixed with solid black, it makes those eyes look a little deep and dark. The oak is always used to zombify the mask, especially around the lips, and I can definitely see the resemblance between the in-game Dark Souls 1 and 2 Hollows. Of course, the mask is the Mr. Mannequin, which I always use for my more humanoid bases, the more vanilla masks that rely on a simple concept, and it's of course still one of my favourite mask bases in itself. So one of my most viewed masks of last year, the Freezing Point, has to come in at number 8. It feels perfectly suited to this time of year. It relied on some of the new effects at the time, for example the smoke and colour combination within the eyes, to create a much cooler feel of sort of dry ice and piercing cold. The material was the electric, also new at the time, and then the Gauge Weapon Pack number 2 Warrior pattern added the blue and light blue colour on in stripes, and again allowed me to create these much cooler piercing eyes. One of my favourite masks at the time I'd ever created. This one has to come in at number 8. In at number 7, we have another wintry mask. It's the Ice Troll. This one was sent in to me and relies again on these cold blues. The material is bismuth. The pattern is the awesome Beast, which is just so effective. You've already seen it twice on this list, and the colour is the cobalt blue and white. And I have to admit, one of my favourite masks that's ever been sent into me for purely aesthetic reasons. An excellent way to customise the Overkill skull. Number 6 is a build mask. It's back when I started first getting into melee weapons. I wanted a sack-wearing chainsaw wielder, and this seemed like the perfect design. It is the SACKBOY. It's designed for Mr. Sackcloth using the Reaper pattern. The material on this one is the sparks, and then finally solid black for the colour, and it's a pretty solid design for Halloween parties. Definitely one I recommend you check out. Interestingly enough, this is in the Mask of the Day format, simply because I don't have a copy of Mr. Sackcloth. This must have been my last one, and when I sold it to replace it, that was my last mask gone, and for whatever reason I haven't found another one. I have 13 copies of the Jaw mask, but absolutely no Mr. Sackcloths for some odd reason. No idea why, but hopefully you guys have one and can try out this mask in at number 6. So we're nearly halfway there. I definitely feel like it's time to show off one of my top 10 extras. These are masks that could not quite fit on the top 10 list, but were funny or interesting enough to get at least some sort of showcase. This is of course Warface, one of the most interesting looking masks in the entire game, and we created this one using the Cosmoline material. The pattern was the tribal stroke and the color is solid white. A hilarious looking mask which so nearly made it onto the list, and I just wanted to show to you guys. In at the number 5 spot, we have the self-titled Professor Wrath mask. It's my favorite of these supervillains added in the Gauge Assault Pack, and it again customizes really well with these deep dark blues. The material again is the electric. The pattern is the hexagon circle, which combines wonderfully with the solid blue, which again mingles with the headlamp on the center, which is a deep yellowy color, to create this purpley sort of peach, which admittedly makes a pretty stern looking supervillain look just slightly silly. It's a nice juxtaposition. My number 4 mask goes back to September when I created my Payday build. It's a mask to go alongside it. It is your very own SKULLDOZER mask. You create it using the jaw mask, which has the perfect proportions to make you into a SKULLDOZER. The material is the dark leather mixed with the monkey skull pattern and solid white. You have your probably best way to create a SKULLDOZER in the game. I'm really proud of this one and feel if you're going to rock that build, you may as well go all the way. These masks really are the best of the best. They are the top 3 masks created in my eyes this year. This is the butterfly effect. It's a customization for the nun mask added in the DLC bundles, which I showed off in my showcase a couple of weeks ago, and it was actually sent to me by a friend. It's a perfect example of how theming in both color and ideology works perfectly, using some of the most interestingly named patterns, namely the wings of death, and working around the idea of the butterfly effect, that one small change can affect everything. And of course the religious imagery of the nun, as well as the black and whites, both in the colour and the use of the nano weave material. I'm a huge fan of this mask and had to put it at the number 3 spot. And here is the second top 10 extra. It's the DEATHWISH skull. I could hardly not. This one is customized using the Inferno, the Spartan, and Black. It's my most watched mask of the day, I believe, ever, and it's a fantastic mask. There are much better ways, I feel now, to customize it, but I just thought I'd show off my original design, and it's a special one for me because, as I said, it's got such a lot of viewer interaction and views. It was an incredibly tough decision, but this is the number 2 mask. It's Krampus, added in the Christmas update, and this is my White Walker. Of course, a little nod to Game of Thrones. This mask is created using the Frost material, the Vicious pattern, which has quickly become one of my favorite patterns with its serpentine feel, and the color is navy blue and light blue. This mask is incredibly well themed. I adore those light blue eyes, and as I've said, the Vicious pattern looks fantastic on just about everything, but Krampus really takes the cake. It's not my own customization. Again, this one was sent in after the Christmas masks were released, but it really is one of my personal favorites. It was so difficult to pick a number 1 spot. So I decided to show off a mask that has never been seen before on Mask of the Day and just drop it straight in there. This one was sent in to me and really pandered to my taste. I love the red and blacks and I love the dark, brooding masks, and this one was perfect. The community seems to love the Arch Nemesis mask as well. It's got such great detail, it looks excellent, customizes very well, there are all sorts of different possibilities, and of course it's quite a difficult mask to obtain unless you already had all the DLC. So as I said, I could not resist but put this in at the number 1 spot. It's created using the gemstone material. The pattern on this one is the Imperial, and then the solid black gives it this dark, brooding feel. Of course, it's my favorite mask of the year, but you guys may have found better ones out there that you prefer, and if you have, let me know about the Mask of the Day is kicking up next year. If there's a mask that I've made on Mask of the Day that you preferred, let me know. Tell me where you think these masks should have been, or where your own designs should have been placed on this list. I hope you've enjoyed 2014. I know I have. It's been an incredibly successful year. I wish you all the best in 2015. Of course, this mask did not come with a name, so I decided to name it as uninventively as possible with my favourite song this year. This is Our Time. We freed Hoxton, and it brought us the best song of the year.
And because it wasn't always there, you enjoy it all the more.